the hitting at Eastbourne, me being a kid attending that event and getting the opportunity to go behind the scenes and, take in everything that's going on professionally, I think it's just an unreal experience and you can't just buy that. I haven't personally been since last year on holiday for 15 or 16 years. So just getting out of this country, I thought it's given me a real drive. Everyone has their own journey, I think, and depending on your circumstances, if you don't get the opportunities, it'll take you a bit longer. So I think if you develop yourself as a complete player at that level, the results will come.
Well, absolutely buzzing to be joined by Lemuel Cassidy on the Tennis Uncovered podcast. Lemmy, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. Yeah, it's great to have you on here, and it's been a while since I've seen you. So good to see your face again.
Yeah, definitely.
First question I want to ask you: can you tell me 3 moments in your life that have played the biggest part in getting you to where you are today?
Yes. Right, that's a really tough question, but I do have some prominent moments. I think, obviously, the hitting at Eastbourne, me being a kid attending that event and getting the opportunity to go behind the scenes and, take in everything that's going on professionally. I think it's just an unreal experience and you can't just buy that. So that's got to be up there. Second, I'd say, is the first ITF where I went to Egypt. You just learn so much about the real tennis world and things like travel and expenses and booking courts, turning up to the event and how it runs. Yeah. And obviously, even though, I did end up losing, I feel like, it's the learning process and how you take that back to the UK and train it. You just go back to the drawing board. So that was obviously really good. And then this might sound a little bit unrelated, but it was actually my first holiday with my girlfriend into Tenerife. And that's more of a life perspective. I haven't personally been since last year on holiday for 15 or 16 years. So just getting out of this country, I thought it's given me a real drive to, travel with someone I love and potentially be a provide in the future and just have that travel experience. And then the last one, I've gone for a fourth, is going to be the local Sussex County Cups. Now, this is big because I played with some of my best friends growing up, and it's just so much fun. And that's the fun aspect of tennis that I've always carried. I think you play a lot of singles and it can get lonely because you're losing by yourself and it's only really you who can push through that. But when you're doing doubles and you're in a team event, you can still win if the whole team pulls through. I just really enjoyed them throughout the years.
That's good. God, you've gone one further than the 3. That's a good effort. Didn't give you long to think about it either. So fair play. Great effort. All right, I want to take you back to that first one you said then. Hitting at Eastbourne. Obviously a big event on the calendar. It's at ATP 250. Everyone knows that in England, especially where we are in the south of England, is huge. And you were one of the pro hitters that got to hit with Fritz and with many more. Now, like a lot of people looking at that will think, oh my goodness, like he's made it. Like just stop there. But how do you see it?
I got extremely lucky, but it actually happened. And I've been asked this in person quite a few times. How did I actually get that? Because it's so random, especially for me. But I played a UTR in Cardiff, and Barry Fulcher, who runs the Progress Tours, he was there, and Andy Fife, the referee, and they were. I happened to play really well against this player, Ewan Lumsden, who's quite a high-ranked pro now and playing really good tennis. And I ended up playing really well. And I think they just saw that and thought, you're in Eastbourne, you're playing obviously really well. Here's an opportunity for you. And obviously it helped that my mate Charlie, he already did it the year before, and it just worked out, happened to work out in person really well. And obviously I'm super thankful for that. And it just rolled the right way for me.
Tell us a bit about some of the hits you had, because there was some top players there that year.
Got Bublik. That was just absolute ridiculous fun. He didn't take that seriously at all, but also at the same time, he was just tanking shots. So, And then obviously Fritz, I shared with Charlie because we both just obviously jumped at the opportunity. You don't get that every day. And I had Jessica Pegula, who's top 3. And then I had, Raducanu, which is really pressurizing because at that time there was like people all around the court. And if I can't make a ball, I look like an absolute muppet. So you just have to rise to the occasion a little bit. And, you play with a lot of people and you find out how nice they are actually. Like they are just people who just put on in a ridiculous amount of work to get there. And they do understand the circumstances. If you tell them that you're a bit rusty, a bit tight, they'll be chilled out about it. They won't scrutinize your mistakes.
I mean, it's interesting because there is a lot of pressure on you. It might just be a hit, but there is a lot of pressure, and it's different to stepping on the court for yourself when you play a match because obviously you have nerves then, but there is a different type of nerves in it, isn't it? So how did you deal with that? How did you get over those initial nerves of the first few hits?
Yeah, to be honest, it changed from different players. Some of them I actually didn't have any nerves, and I played really well. But certain people just have, just a different way of practicing where I have to feel like I'm always pleasing them. I have to hit the right shots to keep them happy. And if I can hit a really hard ball, but if I can't control it every time on the baseline, they feel like it's a waste of time and they need another hitting partner or something. So I always have to make sure that I'm hitting quality and just quantity as well. I'm not just spraying. It's hard because, especially on a grass court, when you're playing people who hit it that hard and flat, it skids. And if you haven't gotten used to that pace and stuff, it's really, really difficult to maintain any sort of consistency against good people. And obviously you're there, opportunity of a lifetime for me, and I want to impress them and, say well done after it, not just, get off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to be able to say that, you got on with them and you gave them a good hit and what they wanted. And it seems like you did that every time. So well done for that. And to put it into context, like I said in my sort of question to you around this topic, like a lot of people will think you've sort of made it now. How do you see it in terms of your tennis career? Do you think that will help you a lot moving forward? Do you think a part of you was like, that's something on my checklist ticked that you wanted to do in your career?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's massive for me because I did it with Charlie and we were already planning to, start filming stuff and, start planning ITFs and stuff. So this was just massive to see it all in person and behind the scenes and get a feel for the tempo and the pace of everything. Because I've hit with a few players before, like obviously Sonny and Jay Clark I had a session with, and just random odd sessions. But this was back to back, obviously throughout the whole week. So it gives me huge inspiration to go out there and train myself. And because all I felt after that week was I want that, I want that lifestyle.
And I mean that because I've heard a lot of hitters talk about that lifestyle of actually being a full-time hitter for a player or being a hitter at a tournament. And a lot of people think, wow, what a great lifestyle. But like you said, hit after hit is actually very tough on the body. And also you're not necessarily treated like a top player. No. You're treated as someone who's working hard and doing favors for a lot of the players, right?
Yeah. I mean, literally you get one court, you're getting texted all the time by the main director, and you might finish a court, you could be absolutely, you'll be knackered because you're doing hit after hit. You have to run to the next court, to the next booking, then run to the next one. Then you have like half an hour to get some food because you got 3, hours of hitting the space after. So you have no recovery time, and it's all last second because, it's great. The players get to rest and they get to choose where their schedule is. But as a hitter, you have no say, and also it's hard to warm down because you're arriving there first thing in the morning. You have a first hit, but there's no time to warm up. So your first hit is with a pro, and if you're not pleasing them, you're straight off the bat getting judged. So it's literally thrown in the deep end the whole time.
Yes, I mean you've got to be be pretty versatile and flexible as well, right?
Yeah,
You've got
for
to,
sure.
like you say, you've got to be able to jump on court and just be able to hit. So that I would have earlier on when I was playing in sort of juniors, I really struggled with that. Like I needed a good 10-15 just to feel the ball if I was going to hit after,
Yeah.
or play a match. So do you feel like you've seen an improvement in your game in that sense? Or were
To
you
be
quite
honest,
good at
no.
that anyway?
I don't feel like that is the case because, I mean, I don't feel like that's ever going to be the case. If you're looking at top people, they usually have a training session in the morning before their match. They're never going to turn up on. That's just being underprepared. You're never going to turn up on match day, even ITFs or in British tours and regular events. You're going to try and hit when you get to the tournament, and then chill out, have some food, and then get ready. So I feel like if you turn up straight to hit, you're always going to take a set to get into the match or something. I think.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Okay, then that's it's good to hear a little bit more about that process of being a pro hitter, because that, I mean, in itself is such a good achievement. So yeah, well done for that.
Yeah,
but how has that prepared you then? Moving on to your journey into ITFs and starting to play more ITF pro circuit events. How was that transition from being a pro hitter to then actually attending your first event in Egypt, like you were saying, really defined where you are today?
Well, it gave me the hunger to obviously pursue that, but it gave me also a level, a bar that's been set. Like I know that's the quality that it requires, and it's all about training to become a complete player. Now I know that a lot of people will look at results and stuff, but it's so important. And in the timeline of tennis, it's so personal and up to you. Like you could make it at 32 years old. Like for example, Charlie was hitting with Echeverry, and he made it pro when he was 27. So you might think, oh, if he's 24, 25, and he's not made it pro yet, and you're comparing him to like Alcaraz at 18 or 15 going in the Challenger circuit, there's no comparison there. But if everyone has their own journey, I think, and depending on your circumstances, if you don't get the opportunities, it'll take you a bit longer. So I think if you develop yourself as a complete player at that level, the results will come. So it's more important, I think, and these tournaments and ITF tournaments, is players coming through the ranks and getting through qualifying. They take a lot of matches to get through that. They won't happen on the first couple tries. It always takes multiple matches and multiple tournaments to just get a feel for the place, and then you start, your level improves because you're around better level, essentially.
Do you feel like that's something that's your mindset has shifted on that sort of topic over time? Do you feel like when you were a bit younger, you felt, oh, actually, I need to really make it by the time I'm 20, otherwise I need to give up? Do you feel like you've actually been able to realise, actually, no, I've got longer than I thought I had in terms of trying to be able to get where you want to be, whether that's top 200, whether that's top 100?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an important point to vocalise, because it's never taught, ever, how to, especially when I was, no coach has ever taught me how to go pro. No, none of my friends know. I only found this out when I was like 18 and probably 19, where you
by
actually
yourself.
have to, you have to just look on the websites, delve in on the line and ask people that has been involved in tournaments and stuff. But no one ever teaches you, which is funny, because how do you have any idea what the pressure is and what you're actually up against if you don't talk to people that's been through that, or you ask and look about? Because people constantly put a pressure saying you can only make a living from tennis if you're in the top 250, which is correct in certain senses. But if you make it Challenger Tour and you're clever and you're frugal with your money and things like that, I'm sure you can make a way. And I've done my research on certain things, and that's why, like, people do social media just to help support their tennis, because it's not now just, for example, 10, 15 years ago, your coach wouldn't be able to do that. It's just tennis. If you can't earn money, prize money, you're screwed. So, things like also how I manage my training and coaching. If I go out and play a tournament, come back and make some money, then I can try and stretch it and keep going for as long as I can. So just finding ways, I think.
Do you think that's something that could be done better in the future in terms of helping people understand actually what it takes? Because I think people understand, oh, it takes a lot, but do they really know the ins and outs of it? Probably
Yeah,
not.
no. I think, especially where I am here, it's all done on training. Like they tell you, okay, a basic advanced player would have an individual, couple squads, and you just get hits here and there, but you're always going to be focused on your studies, which is obviously fine. But you need to know that there's certain other things, like you have to be going to the gym, you have to look ahead financially and try and set up or prepare a way for that real push into transition to pro. Because if you have nothing in place or no plan, it's just luck and guesswork. And I feel like if you have that one chance when you're young to do this, you have to be prepared and give it your best shot.
So your mindset now is you're very happy to do this, and you're very committed to doing this for the long run and seeing just how you can work things out along the way. You're very committed to that, are you?
Yeah. I mean, I made the decision because first, I don't actually have massive expectations. I feel like I know deep down I'm a good tennis player, and I'm not just regular, you turn up to a tournament and it's forehand, this guy's very predictable, forehand, backhand, good serve, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I know that I can compete with, the best players, and if I don't have that belief, I'm going to go nowhere. So I do believe that. And I'm so sorry, can you repeat the question? I had it, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, you were answering there just in terms of you're clearly committed for the long run.
Yes.
Are do you feel like you're ready to work things out along the way?
Yeah. So with the training and stuff, I've worked it in such a way that when I started coaching, I knew that I would put aside a certain amount, and I don't mind if I blow all that money, because it's doing something. One, it's doing something I love, and at that point, I decided I want to give it a full chance. So I don't mind losing that money, which is maybe a bit too precious for some people. And personally, for me, it is precious, but I feel like it's such a good investment, and not just tennis-wise, life-wise, because not only, even if I do blow that money and I get nothing out of it, no points, I should say, or anywhere ranking-wise, I will get the experience of all the tournaments, which is insane for my resume as a coach if I wanted to, because I'll be down as a player and I can help all these younger people as a coach. And then I would have been able to travel the world, which is obviously one of my just general life dreams. So I get so much out of that setting aside some money for it through my hard work for 3 years. And then, I don't mind, because I know that avenue has been looked at, that avenue of my life. So I just want to take it as far as I can. And I've done certain things, like obviously set up social media and stuff to try and different ways, but try and support that in a way, but also document and help my learning, so I can see my matches, I can see my training. And even from a year ago, some things like looking at your technique has slightly changed, and your IQ, and just the things you do, and everything changes. I feel like the more you experience and get involved in the tennis world.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's so worthwhile what you're doing. Yeah. I think if you love what you're doing, and it's a little bit like work experience. You're essentially gaining so much experience for what you want to do afterwards. Okay, this may or may not work out in terms of the playing, but coaching, it's giving you so much experience. Yeah, it's almost like you're growing your CV. Like you just said, you're gaining so much experience. You're learning how to balance lots of different things. You're learning finances, essentially. You're learning self-improvement through documenting yourself and refining your technique and things like that. So I think it's 100%. It should be look like that. I think often I've heard, we hear people say, why are you bothering to do all of that? But I think you're absolutely right. It's so worthwhile. I want to ask you where. You posted actually a good video the other day. I think it was just you talking to camera about your belief in being at these sort of higher level events in the UK, and I thought it was really good because if I think back to my playing days, really when I played the top guys, did I really believe? Probably not. And I think that was half the issue maybe.
So-
But you've clearly got that belief. So where does it
so,
come from?
so that's a funny story because I'm the same as you. I think a year ago, because before I started taking seriously about April last year, right? So full-time training, trying to gym more, trying to get hits organized, start playing more tournaments. But before that, I actually was petrified of playing a good player. And I think that stems from a horrendous setup that we have in the UK for tournaments and ranking and system, because we had the rating system that went out the window. We've got this WTN, we've got the ranking points, but you can only max out in regionals your points, once you get to 6 of your best tournaments and things like that. So you don't want to lose. It makes you fearful of losing your points and having to replace them. And it makes you, when you come up against a seeded player, it feels like, for me personally, because I didn't play back-to-back tournaments, I wasn't able to. Every tournament felt like put on this pedestal, and it was so much pressure. And that even when I play a good player, I feel like I'm screwed, and I just want to get into the tournament and get beaten maybe a bit later. But then also equally, when you're playing a weaker player, there's so much pressure to win because you've basically had this opportunity to play a tournament, which is pretty rare in my circumstance. And I've got that opportunity, and if I fail and lose against someone that I'm supposed to beat on paper, everyone regionally would know about it, and it would affect my reputation and blah blah blah, all this stuff in your head, and your family is disappointed, and regular stuff. And that happens. I can't imagine what that's like on the big level, but I mean, in terms of confidence, it really wasn't there, and except for maybe the 1 or 2 magic days that you'll have in tennis where you just feel like you can't miss anything. And obviously, there's some times where I'd have a really good win, and that boosts my confidence. But then I was always the player to honestly just look at the ranking and look at the rating of the player, when in real life that doesn't mean anything, because you look at top people, and even literally anyone in a tournament, there's always upsets. Everyone can be beaten. It's just you have to play the right way, and you have to be good enough, full stop. But I feel like that's too much focus on not believing in yourself, but I think that comes down to not enough practice, not enough work in the gym, not enough repetitions and match toughness. If you play loads of matches, like linking it back to the ITF in Egypt, there was I spoke to a guy there, and he was on a 7-week block there. So he's staying there for 7 weeks, playing, practicing every day on court, and obviously playing every week because he had a ATP point or 2. So he's playing qualies every week for 7 weeks. And that's the thing, is people don't realize that's what you're up against. Every time you take a day off, that guy's training on court to getting better than you. They're always turning up, getting match tough, match fit. And if you take a couple of days off, it's like you don't feel like you've missed much. But in the world terms, if you're competing against that and you want to get involved in that, that's what you're losing against.
Is that what it takes?
Yeah.
Is that what it takes, really?
Yeah.
7 weeks block, sort of, in Egypt, in wherever, Monastir, where these level of events are. Is that what it takes to sort of get over that first hurdle of getting that first point?
Well, I think so, because it develops such a tough player. Like this guy, if you're turning up against, it's your first week. If it was my first week coming in, even if I did play that first week, which I didn't, if I got someone that's already been there 6 weeks and played, maybe 10, 12 matches, that guy's going to win because I'm just getting used to the conditions, getting comfortable, and he's in there, bam, 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 straight away from the start. So it just feels like you're already crushed before you set on court. But I think that comes from getting a good setup back here. If I can get as close as I can to replicate what's out there, that's all I can do. That's the best of my ability, and that's the cards I've been dealt. But that comes down to me not procrastinating and actually trying to take action and get to work. Yeah.
Because so far, how long have you managed to do out there playing ITFs?
Well, I went there for 2 weeks, and obviously I just went to the Roehampton, so I've only been in 2 events, essentially. Been around, anyway.
And what's it... Am I right in saying that... So you and Charlie Pycroft, obviously, you went, I think, together for one of them, and one of you didn't get in. What's it? Was it you or was it Charlie?
So Charlie didn't get in. He was there for 2 weeks. I got in the second week.
Okay.
But I looked at the list, and we learned so much, but because of the unranked people, right? So it goes ATP, ITF, national ranking. But out of the unranked people, it's completely random that I got put near the top. And I thought, I booked the trip because I made an educated guess that there was lots of spots available every week. Well, not lots, but like maybe 5 or 6. And it's quite a hard place for people to turn up and play. So I knew that the first week I had a low chance. Second week, though, I booked 2 weeks because I thought I was 3 players off the top of unranked. And that's really good for an unranked person, sorry. So
Yeah.
Luckily, I was 37th alternate on the night, and I got in as the last player.
Way.
Yeah. So it's
The night before.
Yeah, the night before. So it's weird because you might think 37 people has got to show up. Some of them were Egyptian as well.
Yeah.
But people can just not turn up, and it's common. It's a lot of effort to turn up on the day and sign. You have to sign in the night before and sign in on the morning. So there could be travel issues. People could be injured. Blah 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 blah. Or flights or whatever. Yeah. So it is luck, but it's an educated guess. That's all you can do.
I mean, what's it like actually when it goes the other way and you do turn up like you travelled all the way to Egypt and then you think you might get in, there's a chance, but then you actually don't get in. What is that actually like?
Oh, it's the first week it was so annoying because then it's just like I've taken off work back home, I've missed out on money back home and training. Sorry, not training because I've trained there, but you just essentially wasted a whole week. But I mean, obviously you get there to practice a whole week, so it's great in that sense. But then it's like it's just demoralizing because you're watching everyone get out there, get their chance, and you haven't even got one yet. So I mean, I sympathise with Charlie because he did really well mentally to stay there for the whole 2 weeks. Must have been really hard for him, but he got his chance recently, so now he's experienced it and knows what it's about.
So how important then it is having friendships that you can rely on this sort of circuit, the lower level of the pro circuit? How important is that, do you think?
I think massive, because it's not just like, for example, Charlie is probably my best friend in the tennis world right now because I spend so much time training with him and I've played lots of Brit tours where I travel with him. So it builds massive friendships, but also it helps both of you. It's mutual, where if you're traveling to a tournament, you can split hotels, split food, split travel and petrol and stuff like that. So it helps both of you, and you have a practice partner already. So it helps you in lots of different ways, let alone it's just super fun. Like you need someone to help you and have that ease of, okay, I know I don't have to look for a practice partner. I know I can, if I've never been to Egypt before and I haven't really been on holiday, I need Charlie to help me out with the travel stuff and looking at hotels and taxis and blah blah blah. Like I need help with that stuff, and you guys need to work together.
And you both sort of went on this journey a little bit together because you started at very similar times, right? Did it help to have someone there that you were like, actually, let's do this together? Is it almost a bit of support to actually get you onto that first step of getting out there and doing it? Do you feel like that really helped?
Yeah, I mean, we've been, like I said before, we've been talking about it for I want to say maybe 6 months before I've been entering, but nothing really close. And sometimes I did get close. There was one I kicked myself for. It was, I can't remember, it was either Sunderland or Glasgow or something. It was end of last year, and I was 30 alternate, and I looked up, and I didn't end up going that week. And I looked, and someone below 30 got in. That was British, so I thought, why did I not go? I would have got a match, and it was a draw of 32, so just one match to get a point. And I kicked myself for that. And it makes you like, you just have to take a chance. That's most of what this is to start out with. If you don't have points, you just have to take a chance.
Yeah, no, it's really, really interesting to hear a little bit about that.